Well, I need something to soothe this pain, to cool the lava you pump through my veins, 'cause I'm burning up for you. And I need something to quench this fire before it becomes a funeral pyre. Yeah, I'm burning with yearning so much for you. You struck the sparks, you felt the flames in me, and now my heart's a blazing ruin. You say that you were only fooling. Don't walk away. Don't do me wrong. Don't leave me singing this torched song when I'm burning up for you. Your love's a drug I have to drop. It hurts me so much, but I just can't stop. I can't stop burning. I'm yearning so much for you. You struck the sparks, you fire the flames in me, and now my heart's a blazing ruin. You say that you were only fooling. Don't walk away. Don't do me wrong. Don't leave me this way, singing this torched song. Don't leave me burning. I'm burning up for you.
How's everyone doing? Welcome back to another long delayed episode of Talk Gaming. There we go. Now the screen's working. Hello everyone. How you doing? Welcome. We're gonna have a good time today. It's a little blue, a little washed out a little. I look kind of sick. I don't know why that is. Maybe I can fix it in real time. Are you ready for this? This show is live. We're gonna make it happen. Maybe if I... Ooh, yeah. I don't know. That looks a little better. Anyway, hello everyone. Welcome to the almighty show, where we talk about games. We talk about all of that stuff. And we're gonna have a good time today. Now, I want to just start out. I forgot to mention this last week, and I hate myself for it, but I'm gonna say it now. For those of you who are interested, we're gonna do a little giveaway today, and officially we'll probably give it away in a day and a half-ish, so that if you didn't get to watch the show live and you're watching a recording of this, you can still participate. Basically, a viewer, one of our moderators, Neat, it offered up to sponsor a little giveaway specifically for Crusader Kings 2 and the Old Gods DLC. So we're going to be doing that. We're going to be giving it away. And all you have to do in order to get that is follow me on Twitter at LukeStevensTV and tweet at me, "Do you know the way?" And then you will be entered automatically. And I will pick one of you to automatically just get the code. I'll direct message you if you win. So, you know, a free game, why not? It just makes sense. So I'll probably repeat that one more time as we go through the episode in case people pop in later. But as of right now, for those of you who are interested, we are doing a giveaway, and that's how you do it. But with that having been said, we have a lot of fun stuff to talk about. I forgot to finish setting this piece up. So effectively what we're going to be talking about today is we're going to be going through some news, as you would kind of typically expect, but we are also going to be discussing some broader topics and trying to map out where the industry is headed, because I think there's a fair number of directions that it is seemingly approaching, and you'll see what I mean by that in a moment once I finish clicking and clicking. There we go. Just, I was trying to set this up so we can have actually interesting gameplay. So yeah, let's do this. First things first, people asking, how is Monster Hunter World? And that's actually something I want to talk about. For those of you not familiar with my dealio, I actually work at a retailer, like a digital sales retailer. And oh, that's great. It lost the chat. There we go. So I've actually seen people coming in to buy the games, and usually it's a pretty good measure of how successful something's going to be. You can just kind of gauge it by yourself and determine whether or not something is getting sold a lot. I live in a college town, so it's a really good measure of the younger demographic. And I can say confidently, Monster Hunter is absolutely like killing it. People are loving the game and they're buying it in heaps and droves. It's actually really hard to keep it on the shelves at all. Now, of course, it's frustrating that it's not out on PC to begin with. They are working on a PC version that's going to come, I believe they said the fall is the estimated arrival date. But there's apparently just some issues with the port that make it a little bit difficult. Apparently, it's running the same engine as 2006's Dead Rising, I think it would be. I think that's what it was called. Dead Rising, the original one. So it's using a fairly antiquated engine. It looks beautiful, don't get me wrong. The game is gorgeous, but that apparently causes some issues in porting it to PC. At least that's how it was described to me. So apparently that's part of the reason for the hang-up. But this interesting thing is that the Monster Hunter World has set all new Capcom sales records. Specifically, as of February 9th, the figure has reached 6 million units at presumed sales. And that's something that Capcom's never accomplished. It's important to keep in mind, as they mentioned, this number accounts for digital sales and the number of units shipped to retailers, but not necessarily sold to customers. What I can say is they're moving most of the copies, like probably 99% of the copies that they've had shipped to them. They're moving them. It's really doing well. So this was really interesting. I don't think anybody really expected it to have this much broad mainstream appeal, and it really has. A lot of the people I know that aren't what I would consider dedicated, like hardcore gamers, have been crazy into this game for a reason that's kind of beyond me. I'm not really sure why. I don't know what it is about the game that's so appealing to the broad public and also to the more, I guess you would just say more dedicated, more serious gamer. But either way, they're absolutely killing it, and they've done really, really well. And I think I think that's something to be lauded, because this game, somebody said something in a review I watched. It might have been Carrick from ACG that said it when I watched his review, but he said something. One of them said something very interesting. They said, this game is kind of bizarre because it feels as though it's a new game for the 2018 audience, but it still has a foot back in game design of about 10 years ago. And as I've been playing through the game, I've been thinking about that, and I think that that's actually pretty accurate, and I think that's actually a very good thing. There is so much content in this game, it's kind of silly. And of course, some people will complain about the way that it's structured. Some people will say that it's structured in a really weird and bizarre way. And I think that that's fair. It is structured in a kind of a bizarre way. You have to accept and post quests before you can go on them. You have to do all sorts of weird kind of intermediary steps before actually just going out and playing. If you kill a monster while roaming, just exploring casually, it doesn't actually count towards like a later quest, because they don't consider it active until you have posted the quest and you're doing it yourself. So it's kind of weird how they structure it. And of course they push a lot of online elements. They want you to be playing with friends and to invite people in. The same could be said of like Dark Souls 3, where they're pushing that. As for whether or not that's necessary, I don't think it's necessary to play with anybody. I think you can get through the whole thing by yourself without much issue. They adjust the difficulty automatically when you invite other players in. So it's not really, you know, all that. It's not like inviting a bunch of players in is actually going to help you, because they adjust the difficulty anyway. So, I mean, it's a really interesting game. They really tried to do a lot, and I'm not very far into it. You know, it takes probably 5-ish hours to just get the rough handle on how the game works, and even still, I'm not 150% sure how everything is structured. But I'm figuring it out, and yeah, I do plan on doing a critique of it, or at least an analysis of some sort, to just dig into it a little more, because there's some really interesting elements to it that obviously people are enjoying. So if you are in the least interested, I recommend getting it. It's worth a buy. It's just as to whether or not it'll be worth another buy when it comes out on PC, I think that is yet to be seen. But, you know, if they can be pushing crazy frame rates, I'm going to be happy. That alone would probably make it worth another buy on PC, and at least in my opinion. Because games like these, if you can get higher frame rates, it makes one hell of a difference. So, yeah, I'm really enjoying Monster Hunter. Oh, and yes, for anybody who's new, we are doing a giveaway of Crusader Kings 2, and we are... that's for Steam specifically. So yes, it's for Steam. Go team. So yeah, it'll be on PC, but it's Crusader Kings 2 and the Old Gods DLC. So yeah, easy enough. Yeah, I highly recommend Monster Hunter. It is, I think it was 9.5 out of 10 IGN. Doesn't roll off the tongue as easy as 10 out of 10 IGN, but still, it's really good. I'm enjoying it. No, I'm sure when I get into the late game, I'll come up with something to criticize that I won't like. And there's a lot of the game that I'm not sold on yet, you know, that are really clunky, but I think it's slowly winning me over. So that's all you can ask for, right? This next little story, this is interesting. Twitch has rolled out stricter rules for sexual content and harassment. It will take effect on the 19th and focus on sexual streamer attire with moderation of harassing behavior on and off Twitch. Basically, they're just trying to get a handle on what we would consider, like, I can't remember the nickname for them. But you know, the really busty streamers where the only reason anybody's watching them is because they're dressed in a certain way, shall we say. And they also are pushing to try to prevent bullying of any sort on and off the platform. If you're bullying off the platform, they don't want you on their platform. It's just, I mean, it's typical kind of corporate stuff. If they're trying, if Amazon, who owns it now, is trying to push corporate sponsorships, trying to get Coke and Pepsi to advertise on their platform, a lot of money is in that. They have to make sure that they play by these certain games, by these certain rules, and sometimes that means that you got to get a little bit mean. You got to cut those things down. I'm one of those people, like, if you're watching a Twitch streamer, a lot of, like, I've heard a lot of people complain about those sort of scantily clad streamers. And the thing is, at its core, I'm like, okay, I understand what people are saying. I understand why they are upset about that. Like, the only reason somebody's watching them is because they're scantily clad. But at the end of the day, if you want to watch that, who cares? You know, like, if I want to watch, like, Boogie, for instance, a morbidly obese man, neck-bearded man talking about video games, that's great. If you want to watch somebody who's dressed a certain way that makes your dinky flinky, I don't know what the word would be, then whatever, I don't really care. But at the end of the day, you know, Twitch is trying to make money, Amazon's trying to make money with it. They're trying to push a lot of content. They're trying to push larger promotions, larger sponsorships, larger ad deals, and at the end of the day, that will be better for all the streamers who stick around, who kind of bear it out. Because you're going to have larger, you're gonna have like premium sponsorships. You're gonna have the premium streamer deal, just like you see on YouTube. You're gonna have a lot of benefits to it, but in the short term, it's a little frustrating for some of these people. So that's part of it. This one, Intel has released an updated Spectre patch for Skylake CPUs. I mean, Spectre was one of the biggest things, like the biggest jokes, at least for me, because it was one of those things where it was an exploit, like it was an exploit for CPUs, but like the idea that everyone all of a sudden was going to be losing all of their data and the world was ending and you needed to sell your PC and just go live in a village, it was completely made up. Like, it wasn't ever going to be a major issue for you. They found out about this exploit last summer and they've been working to fix it. It just got out like a month and a half ago. So who cares? It doesn't matter. It's not actually going to make a big impact. But they've been releasing patches trying to fix it while also trying to prevent huge hits to performance, and that's, you know, all you can really do. But I mean, people have moved on, people have forgotten about it, and that's all you can really hope for. The next one is Metroid Prime 4 for Nintendo Switch is being developed by Bandai Namco, which I don't think comes as a particular surprise for anybody. And yeah, no, Bandai Namco, the fact that they haven't pushed more stuff onto the Switch is a little surprising to me, but of course they're going to be coming out with Dark Souls ported to the Switch, and now they're pushing Metroid Prime 4, and they'll be doing that. My guess is we'll see some other stuff from Bandai Namco, from Capcom. We're going to see some other stuff from them. No, I don't want to get copyright flagged. Dead Rising Studio Capcom Vancouver hit by layoffs. Another sad thing about this, but also I don't have as much sympathy as I probably should. The thing is, everyone gets upset when a company like EA comes in and buys out a company, or when some bigger company comes in, buys in, and then requires layoffs and requires it all to be kind of flushed out and minimized. And everyone's sad when there's layoffs in any company, but usually there's layoffs because those positions weren't profitable, because those positions, the people in the positions weren't considered to be their A team. If they were, they would have kept them, obviously. And so there's elements to it where it's like, okay, well, this is just kind of how the market adjusts. This is how the company adjusts and does what they need to do in order to make the game or make the product successful. And so, you know, it's always a bummer when you see a company that gets like a lot of layoffs and gets a lot of stuff scaled back, excuse me, and gets everything kind of restrained, and it's always a little bit of a bummer, but it's just the natural way things work. You know, it's unfortunate, but that it's just life. You know, Capcom Vancouver has undergone a restructure which has impacted approximately 30% of the studio as a restructure, or as a part of its regular periodic assessment of upcoming projects and overall studio goals. And this is really similar to what you'll see really at any corporate or any big business type of setup, where you'll have the big guys, they come in from the larger office and they come in and they, you know, analyze how everything's working. And if they think it's working, they'll be like, great, this is awesome. Keep doing what you're doing. You know, we're not complaining about this. But if it's broken, if the numbers aren't there, if they're not performing where they should be, then they go in there and they restructure everything, they clear it out, and they try to fix it up. And sometimes when a studio is just not performing, you have to get in there, clear it out so that you don't waste money. I mean, if you're thinking about a graphic designer, maybe you're paying them 40, 50, 60, 70,000 a year, plus all the insurance benefits and all the taxes and all of the other stuff you got to add on to it. You're talking about just like 5, 6, 7 people in your studio. You could be running up by, you know, up your costs by about $1 million per year, which gets crazy, especially if they are working on a project that you don't think is ever going to see the light of day. If they're working on a project and their work is, you know, it could be done by somebody else without needing to raise. Maybe you give this guy who's a really good worker a raise, and then you can get rid of this guy. You still end up ahead, you save money, and then you can get the project out sooner. So, I mean, it's unfortunate, but it's the way business works. So a lot of people were freaking out, and I don't see the need for that. I don't see the need for that. I think it's unfortunate, but that's how life works. And I mean, after Dead Rising 4, you know, like right here, Dead Rising 4 originally released on Xbox One and PC as an exclusive in 2016 before finally making it to PS4 in this past December. Following its original launch, Capcom said Dead Rising 4 underperformed and acknowledged the more approachable nature of the game was not well received by some players. The game was also criticized for its multiplayer support, which abandoned the cooperative campaign of the previous game in favor of a standalone mode. You know, this is an issue we've seen a lot. They acknowledged the more approachable nature of the game was not well received by some players. This is even something you saw with like Fallout 4, where they tried to make things a little bit more approachable. In other words, they just dumbed it down to try to make it simpler and more accessible to a broader audience. The reality is, like, look at Monster Hunter World. That game is not simple. That game is very complex. And to be fair, I mean, it's probably even overly complex and could have been simplified even more. But mainstream appeal is still there. A lot of people who are not dedicated gamers, who are not going in and trying to learn every, you know, people who are not hardcore gamers are still enjoying it, still playing it, still having a great time. And so I don't buy that you need to, like, redesign something, make it simpler to make it more approachable. I don't think that's true. I don't think that makes sense. And I think the stats reflect it. Because when at its base, when you simplify something to make it more accessible, the only people you're making it more accessible to are probably kids. And those kids are either already interested or not. And so it doesn't do any good. All you end up doing is ticking off the like the more hardcore gamers that actually care and are actually interested. So I mean, it's amazing when you make a game for gamers, it's successful. When you make a game for non-gamers, it's not. It's weird. Who would have guessed? Who would have thought? This one, no, shut up. With Black Ops 4 rumored, Activision confirms Treyarch is making Call of Duty 2018. As expected, this year's game is coming from the creator of the hugely popular Black Ops sub-brand. To be honest, I don't really see why Treyarch's stuff is so successful. I mean, I'm not a big first-person shooter fan to begin with, so that's probably part of it. I'm also not a big Call of Duty or even Battlefield guy. I just don't. It's just not my thing. It's not my cup of tea. So I'm not the best person to talk about it to begin with. But at its base, I don't see what's so special about Black Ops 4. And yeah, I've tried to figure it out. I've talked to some people who really have a preference. I talked with Matty, Mr. Matty Plays once, before we did his podcast, a little bit about, like, because he's a big fan of Treyarch games, and I was trying to figure out what he thought made them special or different, and I still just don't really get it. So I guess they're just not for me. But a lot of people are really excited that Black Ops 4 is going to be the next game, apparently, and some people are excited about that. I mean, I guess they need it. Either way, it's going to sell tens of millions of copies, and it's going to, you know, crush the sales of pretty much everyone involved. So that's just how it's always been. They kick ass and then make everyone question themselves, because it's like, we bashed this game so hard. Even Battlefront 2, which was universally panned, still sold about 8 million copies. Who's buying those copies? Who's buying the game? It's those casual gamers. It's the ones who don't consider themselves gamers first and foremost. It's the ones that are not engaged in watching gaming podcasts and news streams and YouTubers talking about how bad it is for the industry. It's people like my roommate who just want to sit down and play a fun game, so they just buy the game because, oh, it's got Star Wars. Like, that's all it takes. That's okay. But, you know, you have to understand that the market is completely different from us. We can get really upset about that, but that's just how it breaks down. And of course, there's some overlap. You know, there's some hardcore gamers that still played Battlefront 2 and still enjoyed Battlefront 2, and that's okay. My point being, you would think that that broad mainstream game that was universally panned, not just by the gaming community, but by Disney, by pretty much every major news organization. I mean, there were articles about how, you know, New Zealand was going to start, not New Zealand. It was like Bulgaria. It was some like Western European country or Central European country that was going to start looking into gambling laws and to see if it was actually going to hold any weight there, because they might apply to the game. You know, there's a lot of there was just a ton of crap thrown against that game, and the fact that it still was successful is kind of, you know, amazing. Belgium, yeah, I think it was Belgium. Yeah. Oh, thank you, Derek G. $2. Thank you, my man. Yeah, how the hell do you confuse New Zealand with Bulgaria? I don't know. Yeah, no, it was Belgium. It was Belgium. I was like, I don't know. I don't know. I'm not even gonna try to explain it. But thank you, Derek G. Love your channel. I love you loving the channel. So thank you, my man. Thank you. That's the one to beat. $2. Gotta love that. Thank you. This one, I haven't talked about this yet. I just had it pulled up and kind of spaced out for a second. GTA, Red Dead Company, Take-Two, responds to Battle Royale phenomenon. This is mainly in response to a rumor that was going around that Red Dead Redemption 2's online mode was going to feature a Battle Royale mode in the same way that Fortnite operates and PUBG operates, which is interesting and could be fun. However, Take-Two had a very interesting response to this that, yeah, I'll just read it. So speaking on an earnings call today, Take-Two CEO Strauss Zelnick said, it has been, quote, really interesting to see the explosion in popularity around the Battle Royale genre. However, Zelnick pointed out that Take-Two, comprising its labels Rockstar Games and 2K Games, generally speaking wants to blaze its own trail instead of being derivative by following in the footsteps of something that came before it. He says, quote, I would just observe that someone else's success is really interesting, and we are obviously informed by what our competitors do. But our goal is to be as innovative as possible. And titles, even really good titles that are derivative, never seem to do as well as innovations that are unexpected. End quote. Now, this makes sense to me. I understand what he's saying. I mean, at the end of the day, the reason that the Battle Royale genre has exploded is because it was new and different. In a way, they weren't the first to do it, to be fair, but they were the first to do it with, you know, the 100 players to set it up in a polished way. PUBG really, you know, got it figured out, and then Fortnite came along and said, hey, why don't we do something that's not a broken piece of crap? And then they did all that. I mean, who knows if this is true? They could still put Battle Royale in there, and instead of, like, having it zoned, maybe there's multiple zones you have to filter into, like, I don't know, they'll do some little tweak and then say that it's innovation and new and exciting. But I mean, it just makes sense. If you're going to have a big online mode, it makes sense to have a big Battle Royale system, just because that's kind of what players expect now. And it's easy money. Like, if you can have Battle Royale and Red Dead Redemption with RDR's world and graphics and all of that stuff, I think a lot of people would probably jump over to that side of it instead of sticking with something like Fortnite or PUBG. I mean, of course, they'd still play those games, but they'd like to kind of expand out and try it out. And that would at least make many people more likely to get into it. Yeah, PUBG needs to be optimized. It barely runs on my $2,000 rig. You're telling me. You're telling me. Yeah, no, I just... That's why I try to mock it as much as possible, because really, like, say what you will about Fortnite, you know, it's the kids PUBG, it's the whatever, it's kind of dumbed down. What you can say about it is that it's polished and it's much more refined than you're gonna see in PUBG. And that's just, it's a ridiculous thing that you can be playing PUBG on a $2,000 computer. I've got, you know, a $2,000 computer, roughly, I don't know the exact number, but it's about that much, and I still can't play PUBG at 60 FPS with decent settings. It's insane. It's so stupid. And of course, Fortnite is free. Like, it's a better performing game that does fundamentally the same stuff. Even, you could argue, more with the building mechanics and the crafting. And it's free, which is fantastic. And if you want to support it, you can. If you don't, fine. They aren't going to give you any crap because you played PUBG or because you played Fortnite for a week and then ducked out. You can play it for a week for free. You can play it for a month for free. You can play it for a year for free. They just are going to put all these little things in. So if you want to support them, you can. Which is good. Which is good. So that was a little interesting. This one. Also, speaking of Take-Two, they said at the same time that RDR2 will not be delayed again. This is it. This is the moment of truth. And I think as to whether or not I believe it, I mean, I buy that this is the last delay. I mean, GTA 5 was delayed 3 times. And I think it's just kind of, who knows if they actually ever planned on releasing back when they first, like, fall of 20, I think they said initially it was fall of 2017, then they pushed it to spring of 2018, then they pushed it to October 26th of 2018. So they've pushed it back and they pushed it back. I don't know if they ever intended to come out on, you know, this past fall. I actually kind of doubt it. I think it's just part of their big marketing plan where they just announce it. They get people excited for the fall. They push it back a little. People get frustrated, but it grabs headlines and then more people start talking about it. And then they push it back a little bit more, and then they're done and they release it. I think that's what they're doing. So I would buy that it's actually going to release on that day. I think that is a safe bet. This was really funny. Dr. Disrespect, the pretty much one of, if not the most popular, one of the most popular Twitch streamers, defends use of racially insensitive fake Asian language. When confronted, the popular streamer fired back, calling the accusations laughable. So let's see what this is. Are you ready? Let me unmute this so you can hear it.
Oh, I knew it! China number one! China number one! We are all from China! Everyone that I'm fighting is fucking from China because Daybreak don't know what to do! Said about This guy, I feel like this guy's from China right here. You can just tell, look at him. Set it up. These guys are... They're everywhere! Daybreak! You fucking idiots! You idiots! Wake up! Get him off the server!
So yeah, Jimmy, JF Wong, said, here's your venerable Dr. Disrespect, everybody. He clearly thought he crossed the line with cheating on his wife, but racism, guess he finds that okay. Like, come on, dude. Like, come on, dude. He's a streamer. He's a streamer. His name is literally Dr. Disrespect. And he's doing things that are disrespectful, and you're surprised. Like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? I don't know. Like, Dr. Disrespect, he's funny, you know, he's kind of the evolution of the model that PewDiePie and Markiplier got famous for, by being kind of absurd, by being loud and very animated on Twitch, which he's phenomenal at it. Obviously, you know, he's probably one of the best that there's ever been. And he's at its core entertaining. Is he a good guy? Eh, maybe not. Is he somebody I'd like to hang out with? Maybe not. But the entire joke of his stream is that he's disrespectful. And
He's gonna, I knew it! China, #1!
that's a little funny. That's a little funny. I'm just saying. You can be like, you can laugh at it. You know, if you make fun of weird Scottish accents and Irish accents, that would be, you know, if you're like talking like this and I'm Conor McGregor and I'm gonna kick your ass and you're gonna do this. Like, I've got Irish blood in me. Should I be offensive? Or like, should I be offended by that because you are talking in an Irish way, trying to be funny? According to this standard, I could be. According to this standard, I have just as much a right to be horribly offended by that as this guy is by this made up, you know, Asian language. But no, apparently the standard is different, which is just absurd. And at the end of the day, like, you know, if you're getting upset about this stuff to the point where you spend this much time to cut this together, post it on Twitter, type this out, by that point, you've already spent so much energy on this. I can tell you have way too much free time. Like, you have way too much free time. Like, come on, dude. Like, get a life. Get a job. Come on. Yeah, they're after me, Lucky Charms. Yeah, exactly. By that standard, every time you see that, like, why have we not banned Lucky Charms? If we were being consistent, we would. Because it's a stereotypical Irishman talking about his Lucky Charms. If we were being consistent, we would ban it. We would get rid of it. Say how disgusting it is. Like, imagine if you had, like, imagine this, okay? You have a really high quality ping pong table, or sorry, table tennis set. And you named it, like, Mr. Ping Pong's ping pong table. How upset would people be? Probably pretty upset. But if you go and you have a guy saying like, oh, he's after me, Lucky Charms, no one's upset. It's like, ah, whatever. He's just a stupid Irishman. Like, they don't care. It's like, come on. Yeah, they don't like fun. That's the problem, Kyle. I agree. They don't like fun. So while I'm not a huge fan personally, like, I don't watch Dr. Disrespect streams, mainly because I just don't have time. I fully support his right and ability to do this. I think it's actually fairly funny, and I have no issue with it. This was also, speaking of Fortnite and PUBG, Fortnite passes PUBG with 3.4 million concurrent players, which is kind of insane when you really think about it. This is interesting. The extreme load of players caused 6 different incidents between Saturday and Sunday with a mix of partial and total service disruptions to Fortnite in a post-mortem of the weekend difficulties, in which it also put out a call for help in solving these issues. The post is lengthy and technical, diving into issues like MCP database latency, XMPP outages, and available IP exhaustion. There are plenty of charts as well, and I'm sure it's all quite interesting and comprehensible if you're into that sort of thing. It's a lot of fun, but the bottom line, as Epic puts it, is that, quote, when 3.4 million clients are connected at the same time, these inefficiencies add up very, very quickly. And that makes sense. You know, you're talking about a huge volume of people on these servers, and I mean, it's absolute insanity. So I think it's healthy. I think it's good that this game is getting the popularity. Again, say what you will about it. If you prefer PUBG, great. I actually, having played both, not only do I appreciate that Fortnite runs, but I can appreciate the fact that it's free, and that they, in some ways, there's actually more gameplay complexity. If they add, like, drivable vehicles into Fortnite, you're going to be set, and there's going to be no issue. They just need to add some more maps now, and, I mean, it'll start kicking ass. So you're talking about a game that could probably completely overtake PUBG if they just do those two things. Add some vehicles. That's probably the second one. The first thing would be more maps. You know, start with another map that adds completely different terrain, maybe different weather systems, something like that. Yeah, that could be really interesting. That could be interesting. But anyway, yeah, so congratulations to Fortnite. And this one, we haven't talked about this game in a while, but I finally get to mention it. Vampire release date was revealed in the final dev diary for the game. In the final episode, the studio steps back to talk about the video game storytelling as a whole. And Vampire, Life is Strange developer Don't Nod's Vampire RPG, will release on June 5th, 2018, the studio announced today. After being pushed back to spring 2018 last September, the updated release date was revealed in the latest and final installment of Don't Nod Presents Vampire, a series of deep dive dev diaries. That's a mouthful. Say it right now. Like pause. Don't pause the video. Just say it out loud right now. Deep dive dev diaries. That is a mouthful. Exploring Vampire's themes and inspirations. The final diary, called Stories from the Dark, is more nebulous than previous episodes and looks at the challenges and opportunities unique to video game storytelling. What does it mean to stage a scene where the audience is the main character? Yeah, so they just kind of describe all this. Point being, the game's coming out June 5th. I'm actually really excited about this. Don't Nod, you can say what you want about them. The lip syncing is always horrendous. But yeah, I really do like their work, and I'm excited for Vampire. As to how good it'll be, I mean, it's going to be on a spectrum. It's either going to be amazing or it's going to really suck and fall flat. I'm optimistic, though, especially after all these delays. I can only be optimistic. And as far as I know, they're not going to be doing an episodic crap release like they do with Life is Strange, which baffles me. Episodic releases are stupid. Everyone needs to stop. Cut it out. No, that's all I have to say. Yes, new Czar. Do I make my own thumbnails? They're awesome, by the way. Thank you. Yes, I do. I make all the thumbnails frantically before uploading and before scheduling an event. So yes, thank you. I'm glad that you like them. I spend a lot more time on thumbnails than I think a lot of other YouTubers do, which maybe is good, maybe it's a waste of time. More than anything, I just like to, you know, because like if I wanted to, it probably would be more efficient to just do this weird thing where I make a weird face and then cut it out and put a yellow outline around it in front of a really like tie-dye looking background, and that would probably get me a bunch of clicks and would probably be just fine. But no, I decided to kind of go the extra step and try to do that. Why do they call them thumbnails? I don't know actually. Let's Google it. Why do they call them thumbnails? Here. It's called that because of its small size, about the size of your thumbnail. These are often used to link larger versions of the photo. What? What about this one? Does this give us an answer? Thumbnail images are called thumbnail images because what you are looking at when you see a thumbnail is an image approximately the size of your thumbnail if you have big hands. Is that really the only reason? That's kind of depressing. Okay, so it's just people just started calling them, they just started calling them thumbnails, and that's what they do. So yeah, there you go. That's the nice thing about doing these live and seeing the comments is I can just be like, what is that? I don't know. I'm kind of interested. Let's Google it. Let's check it out. I want to know. Kyle, Luke, what's your very first game played? Like the first game I played? I don't know. The first game I would say I really got crazy into and really played a lot of was probably Red Faction, like the original Red Faction. Let me see if I have any footage of... I don't. The original Red Faction. In the video bin, I think I have something. Let me check. Nope. Nothing there. Let me show you. For those of you not familiar with Red Faction, it was 2001, I think. And it was a game that was marketed almost entirely on its destructible environments engine. And for the most part, it did a pretty good job. Like, just look at this. This was Red Faction. It was on the PS2. Yeah, this is making me all nostalgic. But the entire idea was that you could basically tunnel your way through levels, tunnel your way through all sorts of stuff. And for those of you, no SNES or Sega, I really was not crazy into gaming. I mean, of course, I did like some PC games and stuff, like Minnesota Cuke, the VeggieTales game. Like I played some PC games, of course, but my background is not in video games. My background is fundamentally in chess, actually. I spent probably the first 15 years of my life, 16, probably first 16 years of my life really working on chess specifically. And by the end, I was competing in national tournaments and going to the state championships. And I won, like, I think in 2011 it was. Yeah, 2011, I won the Colorado State Championship for you know, people under 18 for the scholastic competition. So I got really into chess, and I worked my butt off at it, and that's where I primarily was centered. Then, you know, I started getting more into like acting, performing, and entertaining in general, and as a result, I started also having a little bit more free time, started trying out some video games, and the first video game I like really got me into gaming as I am now was probably Fallout New Vegas. I think would probably have been it. Because, like, of course, I played intermittent games throughout that time period, but I didn't, like, ever really get crazy into games. Like, I played video games. I talked with friends about certain video games. Like, I liked Arkham Asylum, and I liked those games, but I never sat down and was like, oh, I can't wait for this game to come out, and I gotta make sure I have the console to play it. I gotta be ready for it. And probably once I played New Vegas and realized that just what these games were capable of, that was when I said, this is something that could be special. This is something kind of fantastic, and I want to get more into this. And from there, I kept playing, I kept experimenting, kept trying more and more. And then around the time Fallout 4 released, I got crazy into it and crazy excited for Fallout 4, was disappointed, got into The Witcher 3, and I mean, then here we are, because I still am riding the Witcher 3 to my inevitable doom. This is the last big thing to talk about. Hopefully we don't get copyright struck by looking at this, but this is the next big thing. Injustice 2 is bringing in the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles this month. I don't know what to think about this. My little brother, I'm sure, is going to be incredibly excited about it. Yeah, I don't know what to say, but that's happening. So the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles with shockingly realistic human teeth are coming to Injustice. I don't know whether to be excited about it or like shockingly depressed, but that's happening. So yeah, that's all the news I got today. That actually timed out quite nice. Sketchy, when did you make your channel? Oh, well, this channel, if you go to like, I mean, we can even test this live. If you go to my channel like homepage where you click on my thumbnail and you see what shows up right here, you can actually see, if I can share this screen with you. There we go. If you look up here, you see the username is coolcreep4176, which is like really random and weird, right? Like, why is it coolcreep4176? Well, it's actually just because I made this account, I think in 2009. Does it tell me? Yeah, joined November 15th, 2009. I made this account in 2009, and originally I was making little videos on like Blender, the 3D animation software, and I was making little tutorials on how to use it because I was really into that as well. And I mean, they sucked. They were terrible tutorials, and I could barely operate in it. But it gave me a little bit of experience in operating the software, and I got really into it, and I enjoyed that. And yeah, I worked on that for a little while. I think after that, my peak was like 600 subscribers as a result of those tutorials. And then, you know, the channel kept changing over time and kept evolving, kept changing. But I can't change that name. I can change the reference, so I can go like /C/Luke Stevens TV. When you click on that, it'll take you here, and then you don't see that. But when you just click on it by itself, it says coolcreep4176. And apparently, like if I remember correctly, I was just like, I was how old at that time? Like 12? I was like 12, 13 years old. I thought it was just a really interesting, or I thought it was like a really funny line, like, oh, I'm a cool creep. Yeah, that's funny. Now I kind of regret it, but there's no changing it, so that's just what it is. What is that in Latin on your channel page? Oh, this. Unus est rerum magister omnium. It's basically, it roughly translates to experience is the master of all. Like, experience is the ultimate master. It's basically how it translates, roughly, you know. Of course, the fun thing about Latin is that you can tweak it a lot of different ways to make it sound and make it interpret a little bit differently, which is part of the reason that, like, if you are going to like a church or something where they're analyzing and kind of doing exegetical work on a piece of like the New Testament, for instance, in the Bible, the Latin and the Greek that those were all translated from is so dense and so, in some cases, very malleable. It takes a lot of it takes a lot of knowledge to properly parse that apart and figure it out, which is why, I mean, some people, if they know their stuff, it's incredible and you have such a great time. Jordan Peterson, for instance, if you've seen him, he has a YouTube channel and he has some lectures on the New Testament and on the Old Testament specifically, where he analyzes the original text, and it gets so interesting and he gets so deep and into it. Say what you will about whatever you think of him, but the guy is a genius and can break those things apart in such a fascinating way. I really enjoy that. Any news of Kingdom Come Deliverance? I don't know, actually. I'm optimistic about it. I'm not crazy hyped about it. just because I've been let down before, and I have no reason to believe that this time will be any different. But, you know, hopefully they release on time, and it's super fun and interesting and fulfills everyone's wildest fantasies. As to whether or not it will, I really can't say. Once again, just to remind you all, head over to Twitter, tweet me at LukeStevensTV with "Do you know the way?" and you will be automatically entered to win a copy of not Kingdom Come Deliverance, of Crusader Kings 2 and the Old Gods DLC, courtesy of Neat Sarah from the Discord. And yeah, no, we're going to be giving that away. If you tweet me, "Do you know the way?" on Twitter, then you will be automatically entered. And probably tomorrow night, I'm going to send out the game codes. I'll just direct message them to you, and then you can get it. So thank you, Neat, for sponsoring that giveaway. Just want to make sure everyone is aware. Let's see. It's releasing February 22nd. Ooh, that's coming up. That's coming up. They better figure that out. I don't know. I just haven't heard much about it, and so I'm a little scared. I will be honest. Okay, time for the Final Flush. That's what we do. For those of you not familiar, the Final Flush is the way we finish out the show. It's basically just your opportunity to put something funny, a little joke, a one-liner, something like that, in the chat, and then I'll read through them. And if I get through them without cracking up, I win. If I don't and I do crack up, then you win. And we have to watch a celebratory video recommended by somebody in the Discord, which is what I'm pulling up right now. Another reason to join the Discord server so that you can recommend videos for us to celebrate with afterwards. And this is the one we're going to do today. So let me just get this all set up while you're putting your stuff in the chat. Go ahead and let me get this all pulled up so that we don't have to wait for it. Okay. Okay. We are ready to begin reading. Let me pull up the chat. Let me go to the Final Flush shape, and let me get the timer ready. This is how we finish it out. Let's see what you guys have today. Better be some good stuff. Better be some good stuff. Okay. Are you ready? Timer is started. Okay. Okay. It's going to scroll too far. Okay. It's releasing 4 days. Hunt down the free man. Yes or no? Yes. I thought it was the 13th. Probably. I really hope the code still works. Should. If it doesn't, we're going to be in trouble. 13th. Okay. Still going on about Kingdom Come Deliverance. Gears of War is superior to all other video games. No joke here. Just plain statement of fact. Xbox Master Race. That was a cough. It wasn't a laugh. That was a cough. Oh, crap. Everything I've seen has been a little sketchy. I'm Luke video. Yeah, we're just going to skip past that video for now. We're just going to move on, keep reading. Rope. What's the difference between a smart Irishman and a unicorn? Nothing. They're both fictional characters. I went to a cow beauty show. No one came. It was an utter failure. These are really good, you guys. Why did God invent whiskey? So the Irish would never rule the world. It was foolproof. See, oh, that's a pun too. What do the mafia and pussies have in common? One slip of the tongue and you're deep shit. Oh, that's clever. I like that. X-Boom. Who should we put in the Last Injustice 2 DLC pack? Big B Wolf? Raven, Dick Grayson? No. Turtles. Perfect. Exactly what my fans have been asking for. You're welcome. Why do people with foot fetishes always lose? Because they like the taste of defeat. That's good. I like that. So your man Tom Brady lost. It's okay though. He will get plenty of practice in tossing his son's celery, if you know what I mean. That was a really awkward video. I will grant you that. It was a very awkward video. Oh, crap. We've been going for 2 minutes. 2 minutes. Okay. Break. There were a few really good ones. If yours didn't get read, it's okay. There is another opportunity next week, so don't fret. Just save it, and you can try again next week. You just got to type it in real quick. That's the key. But we are going to celebrate the almighty episode number 4 of season 2 of Talk Gaming with the one, the only, God and Savior, Alex Jones. There we go.
Call me the meme machine. My heart's big. It's got hot blood going through it fast.
This is the info war.
The new world order isn't coming. It's here.
You get what you deserve, you cockle pieces of crap!
You've been chemically hit by birth and positronically hit by the television. And that 50 Shades of Grey about the sexy rich guy that's gonna chain you up. Do you want some milk, Al-Qaeda? I'm not guilty, you fascist evil slug. Who is Michelle Obama? Is she really a woman? Is she a man? She's got shoulders that are wider than a man's, which physiologically doesn't happen. Just stumbling around, projectile vomiting, falling everywhere. I don't want to swim around in your piss. I go to the bathroom to piss.
What is happening? Holy crap. That was an experience right there. Oh, sweet baby. Thank you, Sam Onella Vlog, for that. That was fantastic. Go give him a sub for that. That took a while. Damn. That was well done. That was well done. That's all we can ask for. Praise be to our Lord and Savior, Alex Jones. He is always watching over us. He is always watching. And that is all we can ask for. I'm sorry, Willie, Billy, Bobo, B. That freaked out your dog. I'm sorry. Yeah, what is art? That's what art is. The chat isn't reloading. There we go. Dang. I gotta cool down after that. That was amazing. Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you, everyone, for coming out. We had a great show today. I am optimistic. We were going to do the Luke show yesterday, but there wasn't a ton to talk about, and I also had some stuff to figure out. Work, I have a new job that I start on Monday, and after that, the schedule should be much more consistent and a little better. And I am working on a critique. I'm actually editing it. I was editing it right before the video and right after this video, so hopefully that'll be out in the next few days, and we can, get going. Get back on the horse. But yes, thank you everyone for watching. I love you all. Have a great have a great weekend. Yes, because it's Friday. Have a great weekend. I love you all, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace out, my brothers. Peace out, and sisters, everybody. Oh, and a hint as to what the critique is. I've mentioned it before. I will just say it's probably the game which has the single worst pacing of any mainstream AAA title I've ever played. So take that as a hint. I want to see your guesses in the chat. So go ahead and put your guess based on that info. But yeah, thank you. I love you all. Peace out. Bye-bye.